Hello, gentlemen. Today we got something pretty cool. We're playing the Sunday schedule. We got a bunch of tourneys, 200 min buy-in, 2k max buy-in, although I do play a satellite and may get into the 10k. So there's some pretty juicy PLO tournaments. Regarding my previous video series about this PLO $400 buy-in tournament, I was going to edit the third part, but it's basically just some boring coin flips, which I don't win, and I don't make day two, so fuck that. Let's do this instead. And going forward, man, I'm very excited to play PLO tournaments. Absolutely loving the format. Gold mine. Absolute gold mine. So yeah, first hand of the tourney, it's a $200 warm-up tournament. I had just rushed home and it was slightly tilted that I didn't get to register in time. I think you get some bonus chips, or I don't fucking know. There's some sort of reason to register in time. We flop a flush in top two. Check it back. We open up the RNG, roll a 99, but I don't think I ever want to bet this. This hand to me just feels like, please bluff me, please. Yeah, if not, I'll value bet. This guy's going to come up with a third pot, if I recall correctly. And yeah, I'm not going to fold to that. So what's he got? He's got the nut flush. Unlucky. But yeah, we're registering. Oh yeah, that's right. So if you see here the late registration, I'm scouting the lobby for 1k satellite to the 10k, and there's seconds left, and 20 people was the guaranteed payout, but it goes over, it hits 21. So I don't come in for some of that sweet overlay. I feel like it's very hard these days to actually get overlay, especially on a high traffic site like GG, but whatever, have a little peek at the lobby, see if it happens. In the meantime, we register the other one, and this is the start of the tournament. So yeah, 50 BB effective. Maybe it's the second. Yeah, it's the second level. So you start 100 BB, but it cuts you down in half pretty quickly. We open raise this hand. We've got a quote-unquote reg table, but the only player I actually respected this table in PLO at least, because Urasov is probably a pretty good holdem player, but not a PLO reg to my knowledge, is Aku, the Finnish man Aku. He's probably the only decent player, to be honest, at the table, besides myself. Semao is like, honestly, he's a fish. Fernandez, he's definitely a toilet reg. Martirosyan, he's probably worse than a toilet reg. But hey, I don't want to spoil the rest of this video, okay? Because we're going to play a few pots against that guy. One of them is right now. He is going to, after check on flop, a pretty easy check back for us, just on a quick note. He's going to third the turn. And like, honestly, this could be a tough spot against some sort of a nit. But against a guy that I don't know his game super well, but I have him in my mind as just a hard spew box. I'm not going to fold. River's an ace, and I don't see the point in bluffing this. I think if I wanted to bluff, I could use a jack or some other shit. Anyway, he's got a worse ace for value. Turn bet, juicing up the pot with a 5-high draw. I give him the what the fuck emoji, which is pretty reasonable. Move on to the next hand. I'm editing a note, and I haven't paid much attention to the table. I've snap called pre with a snap calling hand, but we have a little problem cooking up here in the big blind. Mr. Fernandez is very short, and he can reopen the action. So something we did overlook. I don't know if it really changes our play. Like, our hand is just fan-fucking-tastic, you know? It's a fantastic hand to call. Can we squeeze it instead? That feels marginal. Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's one of those spots. I mean, short stacks should also just call here and use their shit stack post flop. Because like if he donk jams 2 BB into 10 or whatever, it's a very tough spot for Urasov with 2 players behind him to continue light. So he's got good fold equity against the first couple players. But yeah, anyway, Urasov actually flats and instead of like hitting the range jam. Interesting spot for him. And Aku is going to back pot. So possibly with a lot of kings, possibly with the trapped aces, seeing the short stack BB, maybe he set the whole thing up. In any event, it's always a little tilting when you would have flopped the nuts and you didn't play. So that's what happens to us this time. Aku goes, I'm just going to pause here. He makes a pretty interesting bet here, right? Very, very small, around what, 12%, something like that, pot bet. And it's interesting because you're going to see what he has. And he's just got like dry as shit KK. So kind of an exploitative play. I mean, arguably a good decision against a no-limit hold'em player. I don't know what Urasov's PLO experience is. I don't think he's very good, though. And Fernandez is just squeezed 10-9-6 pre instead of flatting it. I also don't really know how to view this, like if this is a good decision from him or not. Yes, like, you know, he gets additional odds on his money with this hand. His hand is totally fine multi-way. Maybe it's a good play. Or maybe the better play is just to call, and like if you hit, you donk, if you know, or you trap if it's a good enough flop for you. So interesting hand overall. We got kind of punished there. But what could we really do? You know, I guess we could fold pre to the open. It's a bit disgusting though, huh? There are plenty of hands in Fernandez range that he's not jamming, even if he's jamming as light as that. But that hand is kind of okay multi-way. And we followed up with a couple of pots at the same time. Blind v blind on the right, we're going to punish a limp, 8-8-6-5 single. And on the left table, we're going to limp 9-7-6-4 double, call the raise from Yurosov. On the right table, Gavin is going to cook up a donk here, which is completely reasonable. Like his limping range, I don't know, he's folding like 25% of hands pre and limping and raising the rest. So he's got a very wide limping range, probably about 50% range limping. On the left table, we flopped a flush draw. We faced a third pot c-bet and we called, obviously. Against Gavin, he donked like 40%. We peeled it. Pretty easy peel. This dude barrels half on the turn on the left table. You know, we're drawing dead a little bit too often to consider calling, so we just muck with our dry flushy. And now against Gavin, interesting spot. 8-8 blocking the nuts. Not going to get check raised that much. So yeah, I decided to make just a value bet with top two. Kind of interesting play. Equity denial, value bet, top two. Juice the pot a little bit. Interesting line, BBB, infinite deep. I like to keep the pressure on, so I think it's a cool little bet. On the left table, I think I missed a limp raise here. This hand is probably just better to limp raise with, but whatever. And now, interesting spot for us. Double backdoor flush draw. Often hands like this like to halfie. But I think it's a mistake. I think he's going to fold like 10s, jacks, queens that have backdoor clubs and clubs and hearts to the half pot c-bet. I think I should have kept those in and tried to cooler him a little bit. So checking this top and bottom back would have been a better play, in my opinion. But in game, I think I RNG'd it. So excusable play, but I don't like it. On the right table, we defended a cutoff open from the small blind. Standard play, flop, top head gutty, and a 7 of diamonds. On the left, we got a pretty easy check back. Got to have some decent value hands in your check back range. This is one of the ones. I would also have like aces and 3-4 for the occasional check back, like shallow SPR and shit. Makes a lot of sense. On the right, he c-bets kind of large, like 70% pot, but whatever, not a fold, so we call, turn the nuts. On the left table, I considered jamming briefly, and then I think it might be too thin. Retrospectively, I dislike this. I'm actually going to pause here. I thought about this a bit. So basically, I have infinite hands that I can bluff on the river. And so it's already hard for me to cut those hands down enough, you know, that I'm not over bluffing. And that's when I'm shoving, you know. If I'm offering him even better odds than that, I think it's pretty easy for me to end up over bluffing. And I don't think he can fold top pair, honestly, to a jam. I really don't think he can. It's a spot where I can just have so much garbage. Like c-bet flop, check back turn is a very capped line. I'm mainly repping ace deuce, ace 5, a trapped set or straight, which is semi-rare, and rivered set of 8s or ace 8. Like jack 8 is potentially too thin. It's a kind of cool jam as well. But yeah, I think I should have just been shoving here. I bet 75 instead. So minor regret, obviously not a major thing. And he folds. On the right table, I consider my options here. What do I want my minimum value hand to be for a river bet? I'm not totally sure. Like I can check a lot of showdown hands against his turn check back, like ace king and stuff. I don't think I want to protection bet those hands, like by betting 3BB, like 15% pot, 20% pot kind of line. I decided to bet third pot with straight and flush, like so straight or better. Maybe even a little bottom set. Could be interesting. Bottom set with the diamonds or something. And yeah, I bet third pot. He ends up calling. It's a pretty interesting one he calls with. Because he could choose to raise. He's got the king with the KD. So on one hand, there's a chance he beats a value bet from me. On the other hand, he has the KD and does not have a queen or a 10. So he's going to run into a straight value betting a lot of the time when he has this hand. And those hands, like I would fold a straight to a raise. This particular straight, honestly, I also think I would fold. Even though I have a flush blocker, I don't think it's a highly relevant one. I think I would want to hold the queen or the 10 of diamonds to be calling without a flush. And then when I have a flush itself, I think almost all my flushes will probably have to bet call. So yeah, I think he's going to find a lot of me folding when he raises with that particular hand. So I'm not sure if he missed a raise, close spot. In general, when someone doesn't automatically bluff the nut blocker, I give them more credit than thinking it's a bad play. Because like a lot of fish regs just auto bluff with the blocker, just auto bluff. They have no fucking clue what they're doing. So interesting one. I think it was probably better to raise, but worth thinking about for sure. We enter another Satty, this one for the 2.1K bounty tournament. It's a $200 bind Satty. So we're currently sitting in a 1K Satty to the 10K tournament. And this $840 deep stack tourney, which is pretty sweet. We called Gavin's open from the button. We called Matarosian's squeeze heads up. So Gavin folded, we called. And we're going to flop bottom 2 with a gut shot / Nizzles blocker. We also have an ace. An ace is a little bit worthy of note because like when we consider stabbing or when he check calls, he has less hands that are pocket aces, you know, plus a gutty, plus a backdoor, plus whatever the fuck, a flop pair. So when he check calls, like his range may be a little bit more disguised hands than, you know, just the overpair type of bullshit. But in any event, I decide I prefer stabbing. Even if I get raised and decide to fold, like I like this hand for a stab. And it also opens up pretty interesting options if he check calls and the turn is something like this. Because when we're deep, like look how deep we are. We're still 200 BB deep, SPR 4. You know, it's a big fucking pot. If you want to triple off with a bluff, like this is your fucking boy, right? So I decided that that's something I'm very interested in doing. But I'm not sure about my turn sizing. Again, I might give just a tiny pause. At the time, you know, you're timing out. It's poker. You're not sure, you know. Retrospectively, you can figure out a lot more stuff. But at the time, I was thinking, you know what? If I'm betting, like, say I have a straight 6-8 with a 7 or a 5, more so maybe a 7, but, you know, a pair plus a straight, or even trips plus a straight, 9-8-6, I might want to bet the turn and also be putting some pressure on the river with a hand like that. So I felt like I would like the option of an additional barrel, therefore keep his range a bit wider with a smaller bet on the turn. Retrospectively, I think those value bets, I mean, maybe 9-8-6 is easy, but like 8-6-7, 8-6-5, like that could be a little bit too thin on the river on a brick. And therefore, I might want to go for more of a 2/3 pot bet on the turn. Like put a lot more pressure on his aces that have like a gut shot or a flush draw, a pair and a straight draw, you know, these kind of hands. Put a lot more pressure on those, get a larger amount of value out of the bluff catching hands that he does want to call with when I check back a straight on the river. But in game, I went for half pot, which is whatever, it's cool. It's actually especially cool because when the river rolls off, I'm not sure how fast he calls me. I'm trying to get him to punctuate my sentence here, but he's failing to do so. Please comply. When the river rolls off a flush completing deuce, you know, this is nice now, man. No club in our hand, hizzy blockers. Like, if I ever saw a bluff jam, it's this. You know, this is an amazing bluff jam. If I had trips, I do not want to jam that as a bluff here. I'm very happy to take the showdown here. I think we're going to see plenty of aces with 7-6. I mean, I do have an ace in my hand, so maybe slightly less likely with this exact combo. But when I have trips, he could easily have aces with Jack 10, aces 10-8, whatever the fuck. You get the point, 6-7, 5-6, all this kind of shit. And I can check back and win. But yeah, I'm going to rim ram this home. And I'm expecting him not to call me with a flush unless he's got like, you know, at least a 7, like ace, 7 of clubs. You know, ace, 7 of clubs, aces. Kind of shit. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, dude's a fucking spew box, you know? So I'm shoving here. I'm not really going to be surprised if this tard calls me down with queens and a queen high flush, just dry as a bone. It wouldn't really shock me. So yeah, we're sweating it. We're chilling. I mean, apparently we're playing some other pots, but I'm certainly interested in him folding over on this table. What do you think he's going to do? Do I sound like I'm getting called? Do I sound like he's folding? I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I hope I didn't spoil, but he folds. So pretty good. I'm not sure what emoji I want to hit him with, but I give him my patented not sure if. I think it's quite a nice and balanced little post-hand emoji. Anyway, Eric Bystrom's up next. We're going to fire the rare donk. And I kind of am doing this for 2 reasons. One, because I saw a sim where more kings and queens were protection donking weird boards than I expected. And 2, because Eric is a pretty good player. I don't actually have experience playing against him, but I know he holds high-stakes lobbies. I know he has friends that are good players. So I figure the dude's pretty good at the game. And against a guy like that, I want to show up with more annoying hands in different spots, just to make me harder to play against. Call it focusing in, call it whatever you want. I'm not trying to just be cool here. Like, I think it's just harder to play against people who do more tricky lines. And yeah, if I'm up against somebody I think has a good game, I'm going to, just try and be annoying. I also show the hand for a couple of reasons. One, because it's funny. And two, because I want him to know that I am donking strong hands, just to be in his head just a touch. Anyway, back to the 1K Sadie. Martarosen is going to limp, and I'm going to punish him with 7-5-4-3 double, which is standard, in case you're curious, of 15 BB stacks. Flop the third nuts, take a check back. Very standard, by the way. Don't think it's worth discussing. What is worth discussing, though, is when facing a bet like this, do you just rip it on the turn, protect the equity? Or do you keep the trap rolling? Tough little spot. I decide I like the trap, especially against a guy like him who may easily end up overbluffing on bricks, assuming I have a lot of draws, he can fold me off on the river, that kind of thought. But also, if the river was a heart and he jammed, I don't mind folding, man. Like, I've got plenty of fucking flushes to call that river. So yeah. I decided to take this line. He's going to tank. He's going to jam. I'm going to snap him. And he's going to have garbage. But actually, I think he played his garbage well this time. I think this was a completely fine line. Even the limp call pre is totally fine, in my opinion. And we see him again. I like these tourneys, by the way, because the fields are so small. Like, you actually get hands in against the same people. You get a bit of a read on their game, read on their timings, all this kind of garbage. But yeah, we're going to peel him pre here. Pretty good hand. Almost 3-bettable. Big blind overcalls. Little 6-3 deuce. We got a flushy. I don't absolutely hate like c-bet folding to a raise here. I do think I might even have a propensity to check hands like this back too much, but it does feel standard to me to check back. But maybe a bet fold is better. It's kind of close. Anyway, we check back. Turn top pair. It's going to go third pot call. We join the party. It's a pretty good little spot. In the background, I'm screenshotting some sort of pre-flop hand, I guess. But yeah, we do call here. River's an 8, so both flushies brick. Our clubs aren't particularly bad. Like the 7's kind of reasonable even. Kind of reasonable. And I think I want to be betting 5-4 plus in this spot. Maybe even like pocket 8s with 5-5 or something like that. 8-8-5-5, but anyway, that's an irrelevant rare combo. I want to be betting 4-5 plus, and I decide like pot is probably as big as I should go. Potentially, I could have even gone slightly smaller, but whatever. So I potted up, looking for some folds, and we get one fold. And Martarosen is going to snap me up here. He's got, of course, a beautiful call down hand, Jack 9-7 for single blocker. I don't like this call down. I'm going to give him the ha-ha emoji. Just tell him what I think of his game. But I mean, he did win the pot. He did win the pot. So you could argue that he played it well. Anyway, on to the next hand. 27-ish BB effective. Limping this hand on the button. A pretty aggressive whale in the BB. It's actually a pretty standard hand to limp. And I think we have to call a raise. Not 100%, but feels standard to me. SPR 2.2, 2.3. Eurosop finds the flop check. So pretty interesting one for me. I decide to pure trap this particular top set, backdoor diamonds in the 3. Because a turn like this is, a little bit less relevant when I have a 3. It's not a big deal, but whatever. He finds a turn check. I decide I might want to stab a lot of bluffs here. Like he's got a lot of check folding, just like random overs, or even potentially like single pair, like single middle pair, like ace. I don't know how he checks the flop though, with a hand like ace, king, jack 5, or something you might want to check fold. Pure overs he would fold, but anyway, he does check call. So we're excited to jam the river, except the river is this, and I think since I'm shoving like any straight here, probably, maybe not deuce 3, but any other straight, I'm definitely jamming. It might be too thin to jam this, and some of his bluff catches make a straight, which he obviously checks. He's actually got ace queen 7-6 backdoor nut flush with the diamonds, and he doesn't shove flop for 2 SPR. He doesn't bet flop and jam turn or anything at all. Strange play, incredibly lucky timing. I don't like his line at all. He hits me with the haha emoji, so I don't know if that's supposed to be an insult, but he's played it like shit in my opinion, so whatever. Over here we defended against cutoff from the small. We've got a very nice hand. We've got a board where we're donking quite a bit of our range actually. Not everybody knows this, but yeah, we do go ahead and donk in like a boss. Bottom pair, wrap, and a double backy. And this hand is marginal. Certainly marginal. This dude's going to fold. We're going to turn a flush draw. And yeah, I mean, we can for sure just barrel, right? But like, is he actually going to fold anything relevant to our barrel? It felt a bit marginal to me, and I decided I'm going to want some check raise bluffs here. And I rolled low, so I just thought, fuck it, I'll use this as a check raise bluff. I could obviously just barrel any sizing and call a jam as well. It's whatever. But I decided just to mix in a check, planning on like bluff jamming if he bets. But then he bets like kind of too much to be folding. He bets 20 BB, if I recall. His timing as well. The fake tank here from the man. He's got a set just to spoil. So yeah, he bets 20.5 BB, and I don't know, like honestly, if he found this bet with dry queen 9, dry queen 6, for example, is he actually folding to the jam? I don't know. But I decided, fuck it, I'll play this hand as a bluff jam. I could also have just check called and donked a bunch of rivers. But I sort of checked it to check jam, so I just focused on that. Fortunately for me, I just binked it like a fish. So I give him the old sorry. And yeah, take his cash. But certainly a marginal hand, not sure. I particularly like my check jam. It just felt shit to check call, you know? And I wasn't, like I would have just barreled it normally. But yeah, it's a weird spot. Plus, should I overbet? You know, there's a lot of stuff to think about because this format is no limit post flop, in case you didn't notice with my play against Martirosian earlier. No limit post flop in the GG PLO. It's quite cool. Over here, I'm RNGing a c-bet. If I have like a king or an ace with my queens, or, you know, say I had kings, if I had an ace with it, if I have the over or overs, I'm more likely to check it back. You know, play those ones more to show down and play these ones more to protection bet, you know, because there's more bad cards that hurt me winning the pot, whereas a lot of people will just check fold, you know, with the ace or king or even ace king in their hand on the flop. This guy hits me with a little check raise, so we're not really thrilled. I don't think I can muck to such a small raise, but he can certainly barrel me off this hand on many turns. But that's fine, that's poker. You know, you've got to have a bunch of hands that call and fold later, so what can you do? We won't be folding now, though. We've hit the nuts. He's almost timing out here, but does bet. It's a random sizing, like kind of just, I don't know. I'm just assuming this guy's a fish, basically. But whatever, not a big deal. He is going to jam. I got a question for the audience. Does he have it? Place your bets. Do you think he has it? Or does he not? He has it. I do not think he should raise Jack 3, personally, with this SPR. I think he should just trap it. But whatever. What the fuck ever. Oh yeah, and this hand was happening actually at the exact same time. So I had to edit this, you know, go back in time. Create a new timeline. We defend against Satubayev, who plays some cash. He's kind of like a semi-fish, I guess. I haven't played him too much. I think he was like a nittier fish, but whatever. I don't really remember. Yeah, anyway, I go for the donk with the super nuts. He's going to find the raise here. So that's pretty cool, but what do you do? Do you just 3-bet this, you know? Do you call? It was kind of wasteful just to call, because quite often we have some sort of free roll. So I do hit him with the 3-bet. It's an interesting spot though. Like if we were even deeper, like say we were 200 BB deep, I don't know if I would go around 3-betting this. Like you might run into ace 5-6 with nut diamonds more than you want, or top set with the straight, or whatever the fuck. You might run into shit you don't want to run into a little bit too much. Anyway, he calls the 3-bet, and the turn pairs the 3. But honestly, I'm not really that scared. It's whatever, this turn card, it's really whatever. But I decide I'll just check and pray that he bluffs. Check and pray that he decides to bluff me. I even blocked the little hizzy with the deuce, just slight blocking. But most people just don't raise pocket 4s, like especially a guy that I don't think is a particularly good player. I don't think he's going to find a flop raise with top set against a lead. So I'm really not that scared of being beat here. He'd have to have, you know, like a reasonably specific hand, like 5-6 with 4-3 or ace-5 with, you know, 2-pair or a set. Something like that. Anyway, we check call, river's a deuce. We will not be folding if he jams. But he does not jam. He checks back ace-5-5. So kind of just retarded flop raise that got punished. But if you did raise ace-5-5, would you call the 3-bet? Kind of interesting. He had backdoor nut flush. I don't know. He put himself in a stupid spot, obviously. Now we're about to play 2 hands at the same time. I thought I would go for a different camera view instead of having to edit it all again. I'm quite lazy. So blind v blind against my mate Suhe PX. He is going to have a little stab here, I believe. Maybe half pot. Somebody eggs me off screen. Fuck you, mate. Oh yeah, also bottom left, we've got an ACR tournament. $320, something, something. I fucking hate ACR software, mate. Like, I kept timing out and not noticing I was in hands and shit. This fucking tournament. I don't think I'll register another tourney over there. Just the UI, mate. It's fucking dog shit. It's dog shit. Is it a good game? Probably fine. Do they charge much rake? No. But fuck them. I better pause the action here. I'll even rewind it slightly. So, Sui stabs are more like 35% or 40% or whatever. And we're obviously not folding. We've got an incredible hand. And Joao Simao has called my open from the button. We're going heads up to the flop. I've checked, and he's bet half pot. I'm going to check call here. I think with this dry set, it's a pretty easy check call. On the turn, maybe I might want to bump him, hit him with a check jam or some shit. But yeah, on the flop, pretty easy check call. Turn's a flush completed though, so we will not be check raising anymore. I could also consider leading on the top left, but I just decide, fuck it, I'll catch. I want to force Sui to bluff me sometimes. I feel like he doesn't fire through on the river too much, so it's an interesting dynamic when we play pots together. He's always playing like 12 tables, but I swear he's focused in on the one little limped pot against me. That's how it feels, at least. But yeah. Anyway, he's going to check back, I think, and Simao is going to barrel. It was half pot, and we don't fold, obviously. And the river against Simao is a jack, so pretty bad. A lot of his bluffs making a straight. Against Sui, we river a straight ourselves. And like, I could bet here, but I kind of block some of the hands that would call me, like with this queen. I decide, fuck it, I'll trap. Anyway, I'll rewind on what Simao had. So pay attention to the lower right. Simao hit me with a half pot bet on the flop. King 10, 10, 9, no heart. A half pot barrel on the flush complete with just this rancid hand. And then bangs it, obviously, on the river. So quite a retarded play from Simao, I must say. Anyway, against Sui, I do find the check. So will we see a bluff? Will we see a check back? What will we see from Mr. PX? The action is on you, sir. Finds a half pot bet. I mean, we're never, ever considering anything else but a call. He has a bluff, which he didn't bet the turn with. Pretty understandable. Kind of whatever. And then, yeah, Nazarenko, who is, I think, not to be confused with Nesterenko. Nesterenko is a different player. Anyway, we open this hand up from under the gun. We've got like a 15-20% c-bet on this board. I think top 2, especially with club, is c-betting pretty often. So I RNG like a bit of a coin flip c-bet. And we hit it. So I do c-bet. Turns a 6, so pretty bad card for our range. Obviously, our actual hand doesn't really mind. We're kind of just checking and hoping he bluffs because our hand check calls pretty well. You know, we have the 9. Obviously, he's still got plenty of hands. Like, he would value bet a set. He would value bet any straight. So, you know, plenty of hands we lose to, but our hand is certainly high up enough in our own range to not want to be folding. He bets 75% pot or maybe slightly more. Yeah, whatever. 80% pot. Pretty easy call. We call. And I was just planning on showing this down, and then the river rolled off this card. So a bunch of his bluffs, even making a straight and stuff. And I realized, like, well, we actually don't check call that many hands that want to bluff this river. Like, I guess ace, ace, jack, 9, ace of clubs. You know, we could even bluff quite large if we wanted to. And then I started thinking about other combos, and I realized the 10 of clubs is actually just better to bluff with than most other clubs. Because he has a lot of value hands he can bet that also have the flush redraw on the turn with that 10 of clubs. So I decided to bluff here for halfy because I felt like I have a lot of value, so I don't really need to size up. And yeah, let's see if it works. Pretty interesting line. Feel free to let me know what you think about this line or the video format or any of this shit. I'm going to use, again, the patented not sure if emoji. And Nazarenko, with a bit of a read, he's going to respond with the tilt. The tilt emoji. Maybe he knows, you know, maybe he knows. GG, though. That was part 1. The day goes on. More tourneys to register. More action to play. I'm very excited to continue playing PLO tournaments, man. There's an upcoming schedule, the PLO Omaholic series. Fuck, bro. There's so many motherfucking tourneys. Maybe I can pull this shit up. Hold on. Let's see. I saved a text file. Donkerman's PLO series, the text file. Have a look at this. So it's this Sunday, and this isn't even all of the tourneys. There's also like an $800 something that I forgot to add. Look at this fucking shit. $900, $800, $150, $215, $525, $2K, $2K, $525. There's also a $5K and a $10K, but I think I'll just SATI those. I won't directly register. $1K, $250, $400, $500. You get the point. It's a pretty good fucking day. So hopefully I can finish this little video series about my last Sunday's play before I get into that next one, man, because I think there's going to be a lot of upcoming action. So if you like the PLO tournament buzz, if you're feeling this shit, yeah, definitely stick around. I'm going to try and pump out some content. Feel free to help me improve the content. Like, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, with editing, with the storytelling, with the hand analysis, with the jokes, with whatever the fuck. Was it too long? Any constructive criticism is appreciated. Thank you, and good fucking night.